person and me. All right.
Do you have a favorite hobby or passion? Something that most people would consider just a hobby or just a sport, but to you it's so much more than that. It's life. Well, basketball is my everything, and it was all taken away from me in just one play. Today, I'd like to talk about knee injuries in sports and what it takes to come back from them. I've witnessed many sports injuries in my family. My older brother has undergone numerous surgeries and unfortunately had to give up basketball by his senior year in high school. My older sister has had too many surgeries to count, and although I was there, when it's your injury, it's so much different. I recently tore my ACL, LCL, and broke my fibula playing basketball, so I have first-hand experience of what an athlete has to go through before being back 100%. The heartache, sweat, and determination make it necessary to make a comeback. According to national statistics from youth sports in America, females are 3 times more likely to tear an ACL than male athletes. I would like to go into the emotional factors that play a part in the injury, the surgical procedure for this injury, and rehabilitation needed to get back playing your sport. First, let's take a look at the emotional tolls injuries can play. I think the hardest part of my injury was the emotional part of realizing and dealing with the fact that this really happened to me and I had no control over it. In my situation, it felt like everything I had ever worked for had been taken away from me and there was nothing I could do. Because of this injury, my full ride scholarship to get a college education was taken away. Basketball altogether was gone for at least 8 months. Because of this injury, I missed out on a few things that were really important to me. I had to watch my senior all-star game on the sidelines instead of play in the game. I never went to any high school dances. I was waiting for my senior prom, but the weekend of my surgery was the weekend of prom, so I missed out on that as well. I always imagined walking across the stage at my high school graduation to receive my diploma, but I was in a wheelchair and my diploma had to be brought down to me. Next, I'd like to talk about the surgical procedure. I'm not gonna lie, when I talk about my injury, I feel like a dumb jock. And up until this speech, I wouldn't have been able to tell you how the doctor fixed my leg, besides it was hurt and now it's not. So I'll explain this very simply as it was explained to me by my surgeon, Dr. Coco Eaton. I had an ACL reconstruction, so I now have an allograft, which is a dead guy's tissue, as part of my ACL, along with 2 large screws that anchor the allograft at my lower thigh and just below the kneecap. I also had an LCL reconstruction, so I have part of my hamstring and my LCL. Lastly, I had a bone suture. When I broke my fibula, the fibular head broke off of my leg and was sitting in the side of my leg. So the doctor, during surgery, sewed the bone back in place. Emotions can run extremely high after surgery. You're in so much pain and on so much medication that it is a few weeks before you even begin to feel somewhat normal. Now let's take a look at physical therapy. Any physical therapy after surgery is tough. Since I had 3 procedures done at the same time, my recovery was longer. I also had nerve damage, which further delayed the start of my physical therapy. Rehab is the last and toughest thing you have to endure before going back to play your sport. I met with the head of therapy at Morton Plant Hospital, Mr. Scott Anderson, and he explained what my physical therapy would be involving. He explained that rehab takes 8 to 12 months with return to play about the same time. Rehab consists of conditioning, strengthening, and balance training, and functional skill set redevelopment. Therapy is very physically challenging. You have to relearn how to walk, run, and jump. It's really hard to continue doing some of the exercises because my leg would be in such excruciating pain. Along with being physically challenging, therapy is an emotional roller coaster. There are times when you get super excited for accomplishing something new. For example, when I first started running again, I was on cloud 9 because it had taken so much time and so much work to be able to get to that point. But then there's other times when you feel like just giving up, because once running became a regular thing for me, the timing increased of how long you'd be running, and then your leg really begins to hurt. It's really frustrating because it feels like you're taking steps backward instead of making progress. Now a typical day at therapy is spent biking, a few different weight exercises, 12 minutes of running, and sharp cutting exercises. My current physical therapist, Mr. Brian Gooley, believes that it may be 3 more months before I'm able to get back on the court due to my type of injury. This was devastating news to me because in the beginning I believed I'd be back on the court in November. Now, it seems although I'm doing well, the right timing for getting on the court may not be until sometime next year. In conclusion, I hope you gained a little more knowledge about sports and what injured athletes have to go through physically and emotionally before returning to play. The emotional factors that play a part in the injury, the surgical procedure for this injury, and the rehabilitation needed to get back out playing your sport are all important parts of an injury. This injury has been the most challenging aspect of my career. There are so many things that people say to try to make you feel better, and honestly, most of them don't hold much meaning for me. However, Coach Brendan Mock of the Florida Gators wrote me a letter which stated, "I have no doubt that due to your work ethic and dedication to the game of basketball, you will emerge from this injury a stronger and dedicated individual." Now, I am a believer in the fact that this situation has made me a stronger person, both physically and emotionally. I feel more prepared to handle whatever ups and downs life now brings my way.
Hmm?
Yeah, well, she did.
Go ahead.
That's also
Done?
fine.
Done?
Thank you.
Okay. Stop.
Should I bring my computer to you, or do you do it on your?
I did it. It's just, sometimes it's, now it's sticky. It doesn't want to stop on you.